A child with the greatest skincare routine known to man gets carried away from a ravenous monster by a fur coat with a man in it. They sprint into a cave and the man touches the child's face like it was the last banana in the bowl. The kid does a tumble and screams because kids don't know how to shut mouth sometimes. This is Monster Hunter Wilds. A boat in the sky carries a curious human female with metal long eyes that like doing a peek at the trees and the birds. A gaggle of man flesh are in a flying boat probably powered by musical spirit and loud sniffing. But they also wear clothing too big to not be suspicious in a movie theater. They spot that child being a really bad worm in the desert below and rush over to steal him and squeeze him of his natural cinnamon. I don't know what that means. The kid whispers something under his breath. Subscribe to Crusty and the Moon Wizard, or be cursed. They bring the young chap aboard their sky vessel where they walk around making too many noises and stare at him as he sleeps. Then the world goes weird and a handsome man is standing next to a cat that probably wants to steal little yellow mice and follow children around in the woods. This was not good enough, so I removed the essence of joy from his skin and got to work on making him much more handsome. But instead, I made a creature that looked like old yogurt.
This is serious.
He had a cold? Also, I pushed my cat friend into a tank of tomato ketchup and liquidized yellow jelly beans, where you learn the meaning of sass and a touch of depression. So begins the adventures of Asteroid, Andy, and Fizz.
Yeah, okay.
Let's do this.
I strutted onto the decking of the boat and was treated like the celebrity I rightfully was. Why are we here, and who are we? Allow this flashback to tell you.
I've selected you as a lead hunter for this expedition.
Thank you, sir.
Basically, I'm a monster hunter and I was here to hunt monsters and find the village the worm boy belonged to, so we could steal their shiny bits and cut their grass too short. Back in the present, I stare at the small boy and listen to the quirky array of characters who have exciting things like hair and eyes. Then we watch as another child runs away from scary monsters and tries not to be eaten, but I wanted to eat her instead because you have to think like a monster to hunt monsters.
I have to try.
I'm coming too.
I very gracefully leap off the boat to avoid further socializing and onto the back of an innocent animal that gets confused and lets me use it for broom. I chase the girl as she flees through the dunes, racing the ravenous creatures so I could bite her head off first. A clumsy little tomato falls into a hole, so I jump into it and steal her bird car. Now I own 2 bird cars, but I rent the other one to her and we broom away as the danger follows us. A crewmate tries to hit me with a really big sword, but I catch it and brush a monster's teeth with it. But I miss and it dies instead. This is the danger of dentistry. I make the child cry because I'm hideous and terrifying. I introduce her to all of my boat friends and they make her cry too. This was fun. She said she weeps for her brother who she think died when the monster parade started going numb. Poor girl. She had been through so much, but I had a talent for ruining tender moments.
He told me to run. Can you tell us where he is?
Myself, Fizz, and that one with the spectacles stay behind to help the sad girl go and look for her brother. Before I got started, I had to roll in the sand like a dog when it sees any kind of poo. Then I attacked a barrel because it said nasty things about my mother. Why was my sword so f***ing big? Why do people like such big swords so much? You can't hide in a bush and sneak at people. Those sharks just aren't believable. You can't swallow it for a laugh. I'm not an anaconda. They're just so awkward. I talked to Alma who told me I could actually choose between 14 different weapon types, which was good because I always prefer speed and style. But she recommended an insect glaive, which was probably made from the glued together bodies of a million insects. They would scream to me in painful agony as I flew delicately through the air. It was perfect. I hopped on my bird car and followed the glow trail to the sound of a roar coming from a cave. I ran in just in time to see a man getting licked up by a big frisky beast. I saved him like a hero would do and my first fight was underway. I did stabs and flips and learned how my weapon can release an insect that collects enhancements like attack boosts and porridge fingers depending on where I aim it. Tasty. I womped on this big licky boy so good it would make my parents proud, and my parents were bioluminescent slug people without faces or dreams. It didn't take me long before I broke its leg and wounded up its face. It ran away in fear of my big muscles, but I chased it and danced all over its airspace like a majestic dolphin of death. I straddled the beast and did mega womp womps, which scared it, and it tried running away again. Somebody shouted at me to fire up an SOS flare for help, but I needed no help because I was unstoppable and bendy. I chased Tongue Nasty down with furious intent and womp 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 womp. Then I womp 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 womp. He ran away again. This time I caught him sleeping. The poor fella was tuckered out from having a heavy day of getting womped on. I woke him up with a good womp womp and really womped his womp so much he couldn't stand any more womp, and he just kinda died.
I knew you were the best.
I wrote about the experience in my diary and drew a picture of a goose trapped in a trifle.
It's safe now.
I checked on the others who were farting inside a hole. The man I saved was bewildered by my immense skill. We told him we had a little girl and made her cry, and he wanted to follow us back because he was the brother she wanted not to die. Back at camp, everybody was really nice and waved at me. I didn't trust it. What did they want? The siblings reunited and did one of those things where people get really close and happy. A hug. I don't know. It would be nice to have one of those one day. Maybe when I stop smelling like dead beetles. I spoke to Yesai and asked him what the booby happened, and he told me, but I didn't really care. Because my face was shiny, because my parents were slugs, which meant I was the horribly deformed mutant of the family. Can you believe it?
Why don't we have a look around base camp?
Biz was determined to do bonding, so I figured I would too. I spoke to people who could help me in various ways, like the blacksmith who made me a new jacket from the materials I gathered from that monster I humiliated.
Perfection.
Now I was even better at being sexy. Why would this benefit me in battle? Who cares? She made me a hat too. I walked into a tent and a bunch of us stood around a table and said our favorite Pokemon. I said mine was the sandcastle with the evil inside that likes to steal the souls of people and ruin their holiday. Am I lying? I don't know anymore. We also went over what our objectives were, which were to locate big monsters and some other stuff like headbutt ice cream and build a giant structure out of human noses. Probably. I went back to my tent where myself and Fizz sat on a bed and looked at a shiny. I rubbed his back fur and cut him on the hand. There was some blood and many tears. It was fine. He could grow more blood back. I ran outside and hopped on my bird broom. It was time to escort Yesai and Sad Child back to their village. They spoke of how amazing the land was and told me to gaze in awe at a herd of creatures peacefully grazing the desert green fluff. I just started shooting at one and bullying it mercilessly. The herd got upset and ran away, but the one I picked on fell over and did that thing stuff does when it dies. It died. I grabbed some honey from a testicle on a tree, which spooked the child. Was she afraid of everything?
I'm starting to get nervous. To the villagers, we're outsiders. We don't want to do anything to offend them.
This would be easier said than done. My appearance was offensive to the eyes by default. We arrived at the village and met a man who was trying to be a bird and wanted us to leave even though I did many flips and saved his people. Alma was confused as to why the guards of the village had no weapons, and I was too when we were attacked by big angry bugs just 2 really big footsteps away from the gate. And worse than that, a very hairy beast appeared and ran at a thing, then probably nibbled up and into it. Biz got too comfortable and said inappropriate things.
Can we get out of here? I almost wet my fur.
Yeah, let's move.
I carved up the dead bugs I massacred and listened to their unnerving dying sound. I was really enjoying this experience, but why?
Those villagers don't have weapons. This doesn't add up. They must have some means of keeping the monsters out.
Maybe they've got some kind of thingamabobble.
Biz was a whiz with the English language, so much so he spent several years teaching students how to reach new heights after pushing them into a hole and forcing them to climb out again. Evil little f***er. We went back to the camp and I gave the honey I violently grabbed to a man standing on boxes.
Little bird, Bird told me you needed some honey.
Sweet deal.
He said honey was the secret to healing potions, then as a reward gave me a barbecue grill, a fishing rod, some binoculars, a net, a knife, some paint, and a ghillie mantle. The trade did not seem balanced. I upgraded my bug stick so I could be better at killing and dancing.
Perfection.
Alma told me she was worried about a missing support team, then a flare went whoosh and we stood there and didn't respond to it for a while because I needed to go do wee-wee. Then I finished my wee-wee and the dramatic need was raised by shouting things like,
Hurry!
but instead I put on some leaves and sat down at a barbecue and grilled a big squishy meat chunk. Then I jumped off of a mountain safely and ran to the flare spot because time was of the essence. We happened upon the support team being attacked by a giant cockerel monster. Fizz was very worked up and immediately jumped into the battle to rescue his fellow cat people who really did not want to let go of their meat chunk. The monster chased them into the desert, so naturally we followed behind and entered into a big sexy battle. The monster's name was Trevor because I can't remember what it actually was. Trevor was a big scary boy that liked to whip its tail around and assault my cat. Fortunately, I picked the best weapon and spent most of my time soaring the skies, where I landed crushing blow after crushing blow and sang songs of mockery and drizzled wee-wee on his back. He couldn't hit me. Until he hit me. Fizz delivered me a balloon made of my wee-wee and it blew up on my face and then I felt better. I have never spoken of wee-wee so much. Trevor was no match for me because I was magnificent, but Trevor did make fire from his insides, which was probably fueled by repressed childhood trauma. It was Trevor's lucky day, as the doctor was in and the cure was hitting him with violence lots of times until he ran away in fear. Once more I gave chase, but I ran into that scary hairy one from inside that cave earlier and he thought I looked all kinds of tasty. And I was. So tasty. My brain was especially delicious as I had the vibrant idea to lure him over to a hobbling Trevor and make them whomp on each other. It went really well. They were both tremendously angry. Trevor ran again and I followed in hot pursuit once more, this time with hairy Tony nibbling at my ankles. I chased Trevor into what looked to be his home and continued my whomping. It was a true struggle for Trevor to land a single hit on me, as I flew through the skies and sliced his fire tail into a broken and painful playground where he was crying and I was stepping on his toys. Like his favorite toy, his head. I hurt it a lot. He must have had a very big headache. He died. I carved off his meaty pieces and headed back to camp.
That's what you get for messing with my partner. And with me.
Yesai met us there and gifted me a car shaped like a bird lizard because it was my birthday and the moon wizard had blessed me.
That'll come in handy.
Yesai asked me if I wanted to visit his home because Grumpy Bird Shitface wasn't there and we were like,
We'd love to, thank you.
my HR cap increased, which I think means I could grope up on people and get away with it. A creepy goblin gave me a book that had shit pictures of monsters in it.
For recording information about the monsters you encounter.
People kept giving me free stuff because they thought I had no eyes. I got some food from a cat with a big hat and then did a f*** off to the village.
Greetings. I'll tell the elder you're here.
This man made me feel not safe because his teeth looked like the not black bits of a piano, but the music was dead. The village was bustling with action and Fizz had a burst of sugar-filled noisiness.
Hey!
What a weird little idiot. The village was pretty cool if you like spirals and blue stones, but I don't give a shit about either, so it was really just too sandy and it smelled like feet. I ran into a hut and met a shriveled old woman sat on many rugs. She was the village elder, which made sense because she was old as f***. She said things about sand and lightning and rambled on about stuff I didn't listen to because that's what you do with old people. You just ignore them. We entered Josiah's home, which was smoggy and had another old woman in it. Fizz was annoyingly erratic. It was the sugar he kept eating. It does him no good. They put lots of food on some plates and we started nomming. It was... weird. When we finished riding the Yum Yum train, we told them about the big hairy beast near the town. They were only mildly concerned. They said the blue gemstones dangling all throughout the village sound like another creature the hairy creature fears, so they probably wouldn't be eaten because it's very stupid. Then we left because I didn't want to be there anymore. It was recommended to me that I do many things and upgrade my equipment before heading into the forest and hunting hairy Anger 5000, but I was impatient and not smart, so I just went straight there.
The forest is so big, it's got trees coming out of trees.
At this point, I was beginning to hope Fizz got eaten. My party gazed upon the forest like they had never seen a f***ing tree before.
Incredible. So much diversity.
Yes, I was the normal one. We set up a camp further into the forest where I carried a box and spectacled Monty struggled with a big sack. I should have thought more about that line. Somebody got the genital tickles after seeing a butterfly.
This forest is amazing.
I was quickly learning that every character had the body of a person made of plastic and the mind of a toddler. We ran into the forest and everybody was amazed by the red water. Why was it red? Was it plankton of some kind? Was the water angry about sports? Did somebody do a big blood sneeze?
The water is all clear.
You're right. It's not red at all.
Maybe we would soon find out. We will. The team wanted to set up another camp near a waterfall that wasn't as big as the other camp, but looked like a pumpkin had its eye poked out by an athletic pigeon. These people liked camps. We spoke about how to find the hairy raw monster and decided to look for clues. We found some brown fur and other stuff.
If it's leaving gashes like this, it must be a big one.
Perhaps we're dealing with some kind of alpha.
Our butterfly-obsessed friend got a bit carried away, and after finding some red weird stuff, their eyes lit up and their nose went sniffy sniff. Their bones were dancing in excitement as they knew it was from some creature that paralyzes its victims.
He's also a bit missing.
Of course, the buffoon wandered off alone and into the domain of the very creature they were getting the skin giggles for. We saw them trapped inside, paralyzed and ready for big monster nom nom. It was nice to see natural selection at play, but everybody else wanted to save the fool. The metal one rushed in carelessly and back out again, awakening the angry creature and forcing an attack. Time to womp. This was not as simple as it had been in past battles. The monster crawled on the roof of its cave and did spins and stuff, but I injected it with an agonizing dose of my womp womps. It paralyzed me sometimes, it ran away other times. I focused on its legs and made them go snap. I focused on its red flower bum and made it go crunch. I womped up on its head and made it go die. I ventured back to camp and caught little goblin bastards doing a rummage. They took Alma's ugly Kinder Egg and she demanded we follow them and do whatever they want.
My baby! Do whatever they say.
Wonderful. I followed the furry goblins into their stinky sex cave.
You come too.
I met the owner who had a giant burger bun on its head. They asked me to deal with that furry creature and they'd give us back our pumpkin tent. I was going to do that anyway, so why not? Then I'll just come back and step on them and make them go squish if I decided. I snuck carefully through the bushes and gazed upon the snoring beast as they dreamed peacefully under a mountain of honey. It was not the beast I thought it was going to be, but never mind. With great cunning, I would easily defeat... Those irritating little willy bubble goblins appeared and made all sorts of noises and started pulling at its fur and yanking at its no-no bits. Of course it woke up and did a scream and a big belly wobble. It was like a hippo made the love with a baboon that likes farting too much. I had a very big gun, and I wasn't sure why or how I had a very big gun. I felt the concern of concern as I began to suspect my bug stick wasn't with me. But it was, so that was fine. I had big pockets. And the monster had children. 2 children. I killed those 2 children and it got sad and ran away. Once more I chased the creature and once more I caught up to it and continued the womping. And if you can tell me how many times I've said the word womp during this video in the comments, you might just get a prize. An invisible imaginary prize. So if it's shit, it's your own fault. This big wobble belly bum toot gorilla was easy to avoid but smelly to be around. His bottom purse was dropping toot coins every chance it could get. Fortunately, I am very big brain and use my environment to my advantage. I worked on his tender bum pillows and spanked this hippo raw. He hobbled back to his honey mountain and I was right behind. He was also mostly behind. He farted out 2 more children, just like that. He must enjoy seeing them die, because they did. And then I did more flips and very cool ouch brushes until it stopped being alive. I hugged Fizz and got my pumpkin tent back from the burger bun shithead. They said they would trade with us and be friends now, but I told them to fuck off before I stepped on them. Back at camp, people talked at me about the hairy one I thought I was hunting, but I had already seen it anyway, so I was over it. I just wanted to sit down and relax for a while, but Fizz kept jumping on my bed and I think I hate him. Hey, so subscribing and leaving a like on this video would be a good thing because it would paint a smile on my face and it would really help the channel grow. Wouldn't that be nice? Moon Wizard bless you and I'll see you next time.